Hey everybody, Mr. E from Art with Mr. E with another project for us to do. Today we're going to be doing my favorite project that I do all year long with any grade level, and that is circle weaving. Now, it hasn't always been that way because when I first started teaching back in '97, I had never done weaving before. And there it was. In our curriculum, we had to teach weaving, and I had no idea. Thank goodness I had good friends to help walk me through all the steps, and it became my favorite project. From something I was nervous about and didn't know how to do to now being my very favorite project. Pretty cool, huh? Alright, so what do you need for this project? You will need a paper plate or piece of cardboard cut out into a circle. You will need, I'm using a Sharpie, but a pencil might be better. And you'll need a pair of scissors and a yarn. It doesn't matter what color, just pick a yarn if you have one at home, and you are set to begin weaving. Now, the reason I said you need a pencil is because we have to mark the back of our loom. That's what this plate becomes. It becomes our loom. Looms can be made out of almost anything. It is what we weave on. It's the surface structure that we use to weave on. So this plate is our loom. Now, on the back, we have to evenly space an odd number of lines. Now, I usually do 11 with my students, but 13 would be fine. And I guess you could do 9, but I kind of like 11. It seems like a good number. Evenly spaced 1 to 11 all the way around. Now, I did not use pencil, and look what happened. I messed up. That's okay though. So that's why I said use pencil, because you can erase if you mess up. But evenly spacing them out is important. It's not going to keep you from weaving, but what will happen is if the numbers are not evenly spaced, the weaving will take place like higher up or over to the side. It won't be towards the center, and that's okay, especially if you're just starting out. So, after you've numbered it 1 to 11, you've checked that they are fairly evenly spaced, then you get your scissors. Now, with a plate like this, it has a rim, and I'm going to just cut right to the edge of that rim. You don't need to make a deep cut, just enough to slide your yarn into. So I'm going to go round, round, round my loom until I get back to the beginning. So it's not a deep cut like that, not too bad. Alright, now you'll get a piece of yarn. Now if you have a full skein, that's what this is called, a skein. If you have a full skein, then just leave it attached for now. Set it off to the side. And of course, we'll start with the number 1. Now, on the back, we don't want a lot of yarn. And you can tape this piece down to make sure that it doesn't come out, that's fine. But we don't want a lot of yarn on the back. The yarn should be on the front of our loom. Now, I have a little thing that I've written up on my blog, and I will post that link on my Art with Mr. E so that you have all the information that you need to do this weaving. Now, what we do is go 1 to 6. We're going to cross the plate. 6 to 7. Hello, neighbor. 7 to 2. X marks the spot. 2 to 3. Hello, neighbor. 3 to 8. Across the plate. 8 to 9. Hello, neighbor. 9 to 4. Across the plate. 4 to 5. Hello, neighbor. 5 to 10. Across the plate. 10 to 11. Hello, neighbor. Now this gets a little tricky because you're like, okay, where do I go? I used to teach it where you would tie it off in the center, but that got a little confusing. So what I do is just go back from the number 11 to the number 5. See how you get this A shape right here? If you got that, you know you've done it right. So see, very little yarn across the back. It just kind of hugs the edge. It should not crisscross the back. If you have that yarn on the back, you've wasted some of it. So then we're going to leave a couple inches hanging off so you can take that tail down. And now we have successfully warped our loom. That's another good weaving word, warp. A warp is the structure that you see here. It is what we weave through. The loom is what we weave on. The warp is what we weave through. I always tell my students that the warp is kind of like the bones of your weaving. Because if we didn't have bones, we'd be a pile of mush on the floor. Well, if your weaving doesn't have the warp, it's just a pile of yarn. It doesn't make anything, except for kind of a mess. All right, let's switch over to my other loom. I have already started. Now this, this is a pizza circle that we have left over in recycling. I thought, well, that would be easy to use. But you can use any kind of cardboard as long as you cut it out into a circular shape. Now, what I've done is taken my next yarn, this pink color here, and this is called the weft. So we have the loom, the warp, and the weft. The weft is kind of like the skin of your weaving. It's what you see on top. Do you see my bones? Nope. You see my skin. That's what the warp or the weft will be when we finish. So what I've done is I've gone from my 3 o'clock-ish space to my 8 o'clock-ish space. And I lifted up all my strings and went underneath, because what I'm going to do is capture them in a knot. Okay, do you see how that lifts up? If it lifts up, you know you've caught them all. Now, we don't want a big old knot. So try to make your knot as small as possible. And this is not a complicated knot at all. You just crisscross, loop it through, and pull. Now, I like to do that twice, just to make sure it is secure. And then I'll cut this little tail that I have left off. Now that's why you want to make it as small as possible, because you don't want to waste yarn, do you? Nope. So here we go. We have the start of our weaving with our loom, our warp, and our weft. Now, if you notice those 2 strings that shared the spot, the number 5 spot, they no longer look like 2 strings. The knot has pulled them together into one, and that's how we need to treat them. We don't want to go through the 2 strings. We either want to go over it or under it. We count it like 1. All right? So, how do we start weaving? Circle weaving is super easy, gang. All it is over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Can you do that? Over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Not hard. You can do this. I know it. So I like to start, and I go counterclockwise. Just the way I do it. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go under, lift it up, over, under, over, under, over, under. And at this point, what I do is I pull my string. I don't want to go all the way around and loop it because it'll kind of get knotted up. All right, so I pull it all. Now, at first, it's not going to look like much. It's going to kind of look like a little knot there in the middle. But as long as you are going over, under, you're good. So let's see where I left off. I went under this one. So I'll go over, under, over, under, over, over, under, and pull. So every 5 or 6 jumps, pull your yarn. All right? And we just keep going around and around and around. And as you keep going around and around, it's going to start looking more and more like a weaving. Okay? It'll be awesome. I know that you'll do an amazing job. So this is how you start it. I'll tell you, one of the things that kids have a lot of trouble with is they double jump. That's where you go over, over, like you double jump, you go over, over, or they go under, under. I've had some kids that went over, 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 over. I think they might have been talking to their neighbor a little too much. But if you just keep going over, under, then it'll be awesome and it'll do exactly what it needs to do. You just have to pay attention to what you're doing when you're jumping. Over, under, over, under. And if you're not sure, just kind of look back to see what you did on the last string. Easy as that. All right, I will put this on my blog, artwithmre.com, and I will link it with my previous posts on my blog that have all the directions and have some finished examples that you can look at. Happy weaving! Can't wait to see them. Bye!